Hi Stampers, it's Elizabeth from Stamp Scrap and More, and I have a really quick card for you tonight. Even if you're not a stamper, this is so simple. If you can cut paper, color, and tie a knot, this card is for you. This is the card that we made at the open house, and I love it. It's using the new stamp set from the 2017-2018 Stampin' Up annual catalog, which by the way goes live tomorrow. And we're using the little chef, and I love it. It reminds me of birthdays from when I was a kid, all the images, and it coordinates great with the designer series paper and the framelits. So we're going to use the birthday delivery stamp set, and we're going to use the coordinating framelits, birthday friends, I think that's what it's called. And I've already stamped the chef, and I've cut him out. The big shot's in another area of the room, so I've done that already. And we're going to use some of the designer series paper, which is Birthday Memories, I think, designer series paper. And we're going to use some of the coordinating Pacific Point ribbon on this card as well. So let's get started. I had some measurements here. There we go. So this is a standard card size, and it's 4 1/4 by 11, and it's scored at 5 1/2. And I've already done that, and it's going to open that way. We're going to build the card on a piece of Whisper White that is 4 by 5 1/4, and the piece of designer series paper is 1 by 5 1/4. And we're going to be using crumb cake for his hair, real red for his bow tie, Pacific Point for the happy birthday, and the new lemon lime twist for the pastry bag. So let's get started. We're going to use the happy birthday in Pacific Point, and I'm looking for my paper piercing mat. Give me 1 second. There we go. It's a photopolymer stamp set, so it's really a good idea to put some paper piercing mat underneath to give it that added sponginess. Mind you, this is a really crisp image, and so I found that you really don't need the paper piercing mat, but it's a good habit to get into. There we go. Isn't that clean? Love it. And we're going to adhere the piece of designer series paper to the bottom. When I cut my designer series paper to add to the bottom of a card like this, I usually cut it a titch, which is my technical term, for a little bit longer than required, just in case I'm off on my cutting of the card base. I don't want to have any white showing, so I just cut it a titch longer and then trim off the excess afterwards. And that way I'm assured of a clean, like edge-to-edge piece of paper on the card. So I'm going to leave that aside now, and I'm going to color the chef. And to color the chef, we're going to use a blender pen. And in case you're not familiar with a blender pen, you can use the same pen over and over again, but in between colors it's a good idea to just run it on the side of a scrap piece of paper until it runs clear. Don't pound it down like this, because then you're going to break the nib, and it's going to get soft, and it's easier to color when it's a nice point. So we're going to start with the lemon lime twist. We're going to start from the lightest color to the darkest, especially with the red, because it's got a lot of pigment in it, and I just want to make sure that's the last color. And so I'm going to color the pastry bag with the lemon lime twist. I have a lot of clubs, and whenever I say to the clubs, you know, we're going to color this week, some of them moan because they know that I love to color, and some are not as big a fan of coloring as I am, but they still do it because I said so. No, I shouldn't say that, but they do it. They oblige. And then I'm going to color the mustache in crumb cake. My club stampers know that I love to color, and whenever possible I'll do a card that has coloring on it. And that's his mustache. I'm going to run it clear. And then the last color is the bow tie, and it's in real red. And there's not a lot of color or detail to this card, but I love the colors. I think the primary colors, and they just add that pop. And he's got a little bit of the tie at the back of his chef's coat, where the knot is tied and flows to the back. Okay, and that's the end of him. And this is probably the hardest part of the card, and that's tying the knot. This is a pretty thick ribbon, and it doesn't lend itself very well to bows. I don't think so anyhow. So I'm just going to do a knot, and I want to make sure the knot is pretty flat, because I don't want that added bulk. So I'm just going to hold the middle and pull it really tight. There we go. And I'm going to cut the trim it off on an angle. And I'm going to adhere it to the card base. Told you this was a quick card. And I'm going to put it up. There we go. And then we're going to use some dimensionals, and we're going to put dimensionals on the top of his hat, like the top of his head, and at the bottom. And the nib of the pastry bag, so this nib here, we're going to line it up so that it matches the icing on the happy birthday. And we're just going to straddle the ribbon. Now, one last thing we're going to do is, because he's pretty basic card, pretty plain, we're going to take Wink of Stella, and we're going to color in his hat. And you might not see this very well on the camera, but the Wink of Stella is just going to add some shine, some sparkle, and a little bit of bling. Every card needs a little bit of bling, right? So just a little bit of bling, and ta-da! That card is done. Isn't he cute? So thanks for stopping by, and I'm looking at the clock, and it's 7 minutes and 8 minutes long. So 8 minutes, and you can make that card too. And it's super simple and easy. Thanks for stopping in, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care.